ni haki ya kikatiba.
Hiya guys, back to our YouTube channel. Thanks for your great support. William Ruto, the president of the Republic of Kenya. Siji William Ruto anataka kujiharia sahi. Juu amekuja realizing that makanisa wamekuja pia supporting Gen Zs kwamba wa build a free hospital level 12 ambayo pia huduma yake itakuwa bora zaidi na watu watakuwa wanaenda free na madaktari watakuwa wanalipwa na Gen Zs. I can tell you. So William Ruto ameanza kupanic. Ameanza kupanic mapema, anatuambia kwamba kutakuwa na free. Bora mtu aregister SHA free. Enda tu register SHA. Then unatibiwa hata kama ni hospitali kubwa aje, utatibiwa tu free. Na mtu asijaribu kukuitanisha pesa. Mtu akikutanisha pesa, itanisha polisi, wajaribu kufanya nini? Kudeal na huyo daktari. Unaona watu wangu, juu aibu imemshika. I can tell you kwa hii video, aibu imeshika Rais William Samoei Arap Ruto. And that's why unajua kwa kusema hivyo, so itakuwa inasimamisha ujenzi wa hii hospitali ya Gen Zs. Akisema hivyo. So kumaanisha atakuwa anataka kuboresha upande wa afya. Ili Gen Zs wasijenge hii hospitali. Wakijenga hii hospitali itakuwa aibu dunia nzima kwa Rais William Ruto kwamba serikali yake haijafanya kazi. Nataka kujua guys, hospitali za Kenya zifanyi kazi. Raila Odinga saizi ni mgonjwa na amepelekwa nje ya nchi kutibiwa pale. Kumaanisha hapa ndani hakuna hospitali mzuri ambayo mtu anaweza tibiwa, ambayo Rais William Ruto anatuambia kwamba hata yeye analipia SHA akipata shida ama akigonjeka na tibiwa tu hapa Kenya. Unaona? So Raila Odinga angeadmitiwa hapa Kenya ndo ikue kama example hospitali ziko hapa ndani za serikali ambazo zinafanya vizuri zaidi. So there is no need for Gen Zs to build a new hospital. But Raila Odinga ndio anakimbia wapi? Nje ya nchi kwenda kutibiwa pale. Juu anaweza kufa. Hapa Kenya hakuna hospitali mzuri chini ya uongozi wa Rais William Samoei Arap Ruto. Kabla tuangalie jinsi ambavyo makanisa wameamua kudonate hizi na wengine wakaamua kudonate ambulances ili ziwe zinasaidia. Wakati ambapo mtu ni msiki, hii ambulance inakimbia inamchukua. Kila county Gen Zs watabuild a new hospital level 12. Na kuambia kumechemuka. And that's why William Ruto is in panic. And show me like video na nasema thanks kwa hiyo like yako. Kumbuka William Ruto jana alisema kitu na hiyo kitu niko nairudia hapa. Sikiza.
Tayari watu 1526 wamejiandikisha kwa mpango ya SHA. 526,000. Lakini bado wale ambao hawajajiandikisha ni wengi. Kwa sababu hapa Meru wananchi ni 1,350,000. Wale wamejiandikisha ni 526,000 peke yao. So wale wengine ambao hamjajiandikisha, mimi nataka mjiandikishe na niwaeleze sababu gani tunataka mjiandikishe. Wewe mtu ya Meru, ukijiandikisha, mnanisikia? Ukijiandikisha, unaenda kwa hospitali yoyote. Unaenda kwa hospitali ya public, ile ya county, unaenda kwa hospitali ya private, ile inaendeshwa na watu binafsi, unaenda kwa hospitali inaendeshwa na makanisa. Hiyo hospitali yote tatu unaweza kwenda pale na unaweza kutibiwa, na kwa ile mambo ambayo ni ya unatibiwa na kwenda nyumbani, ile ambayo inaitwa outpatient. Hizo mahospitali zote ukienda pale unatibiwa na unaenda nyumbani bila ya kuulizwa pesa yoyote. Na mtu akikuuliza pesa, itisha polisi, kwa sababu waambie serikali ya Kenya tayari ishalipa pesa ya kutibu wa Kenya outpatient kwa all the hospitals.
So hiyo ni kupanic. And now unajua hii serikali ya William Ruto mambo ya kuluti tu do. iko kipaumbele. Bado kufanya maendeleo Kenya hakuna. That's why Senator Nyutu pia anatuambia hii. Usijaribu kuikosa. Sikiza.
At the end of the day, SHA, which is President Ruto's, I would say project, at the end of the day, we have many problems. So that even the counties that are not, engaging in this kind of that level of corruption, I mean, genuine claims, I can tell you, are not being paid by SHA. Which is why, for example, RUFA has suspended, services in the hospitals for patients covered under SHA. So at the end of the day, we have to look at the bigger picture. Because again, you see, once counties put up these hospitals, at the end of the day, SHA will still have, being the national health cover for many people, will still have to be called out to pay, genuine claims. Because it's a very funny situation that we find ourselves in, that genuine claims are not being paid, while actually fraudulent and fictitious claims have been paid. And we know that we have lost about 10 billion. And you know what again? The whistleblowers about that corruption have now actually even not been shortlisted for the jobs. Meaning that there is protection from the top. That's not about counties. So what we are saying is, where corruption happens at counties, we are going to condemn it. And everybody should be brought to book. But we must remember that the biggest percentage remains at the national government level. And that's why most of the criticism is leveled on President Ruto. And remember, it's not just about development. When you're talking about human rights, how many counties are violating human rights? How many county askaris, for example, have killed people or abducted people? When we are talking about the economy generally, if you ask counties, why have you not settled your pending bills? They'll tell you that that disbursement is yet to happen from the treasury. So at the end of the day, most of the problems that bedevil this country can be directly attributed to the center, which is the national government.
I have a question, and it's to both of you, but I'll start with Dr. Olo. What Senator is saying, is it a case, and I'm just trying to look at something here. So there's a report that was released by the EACC, and this report is about the fertilizer scandal. And what is now emerging is that, so what the report then is revealing is details of how cartels scuttled cheap fertilizer plan. So here's a government that comes in and says, look, we are keen on looking at the issues of farmers. And one of the issues is fertilizer. There's the question of subsidies and all that. But let us see how we can fix this. So the government goes ahead and has this ambitious plan of fertilizer subsidy program, which again, like the SHA we're talking about, is the centerpiece of President William Ruto's bottom-up economic transformation agenda. So what is then revealed here is that it was hijacked by cartels and unscrupulous traders who exploited. Now, our attention here is exploiting loopholes in the system. So, as it was rolled out, what EACC is saying is that because of weak systems, it opened the door for manipulation, fraud, and supply of substandard fertilizer that left thousands of farmers exposed. So are we dealing with an issue where you have a good government plan, you're trying to set up a system in place, but because, like what former president said the other day, you're bringing in something that has not been tried and tested, then it opens up room for these cartels and people, corrupt individuals, then to exploit the system. And then at the end of the day, it then waters down the essence of why we were coming up with this great fertilizer subsidy program. Is this a classic example rolling into now other areas where we are seeing it may not necessarily be the issue that right from the start the intention was not good, but the systems.
This is fertilizer. We have not talked about the oil, where our good friend Moses Kuria was the cabinet secretary. Generally, what you are saying is that there is a typical way in which things are happening in this regime. businessmen are sitting where decisions are being made, or their proxies are sitting where the decisions are being made. So as soon as decisions have been made, they have information and they can therefore procure or access resources and access those tenders. So what happened in fertilizer? Again, somebody paid, mythically Inturi paid for it, was not a very distant thing from the inside of government. No. This is people who knew what was happening. These are people who were part of the, the decision making, and eventually were also part of the importation. A few of their friends messed them up, yes, by now mixing this with other things. But the point is that if you wanted to supply fertilizer, there are enough channels in this country, including the National Cereals and Produce Board, a parastatal that is open. There are enough farmers cooperatives around that can deal with that. So KTD, and there are many. So, and one would have said, and maybe let me make this point, that farming is one of those bedrocks of Rift Valley. And I would have thought that the president would be the first person to make sure that farmers, especially in Rift Valley, get fertilizer and get produce out there and actually build the bread basket. And that would be expected of anybody. When Kibaki was in power, one of the things he did was to help coffee farmers, tea farmers, because he knew these were his people who had an economy to run. So I would have thought that in this case you'd say, okay, maize farming is very important. I will make sure fertilizer reaches the people and actually people make money by boosting their production. That never happened. It was the biggest shame that where your people are actually very interested, you would not care enough to make sure that they can actually have genuine fertilizer so that they can genuinely produce and then also sell their goods for a better price. So here is, you don't want to blame it. And let's face this, Dennis and Lou and Mike and Mheshimiwa here. A business person seeing a business opportunity will always go for it. So if you say there are loopholes, and I've seen it, I'll take it. It's like a football match. You don't score against a wall of people. You look for that opportunity where you can pass the goal. So business people were okay. If government systems were not in place, take advantage of them. They are businessmen. They are not askaris. They are not systems guardians. But I don't think that in this case we are talking about business people. We are simply talking about people inside helping people outside to access tenders and to make money. Some who have no record. We have seen companies that have been registered today. They have been given tenders tomorrow, and they are supplying hot air. They're even being getting paid before they supply. So we've seen that happen in this country. And it's a shame, because what we're doing is not even business. That's simply pilferage. That's simply corruption.
So, Senator, is the system rigged from the very onset?
You know, we have problems with systems in this country. And I know we are talking about fertilizer for this case, but if I take you back a bit, you remember that we procured a system, the SHA system, at a cost of 104 billion. This is a system that cannot be able to detect the loss of about 10 billion Kenya shillings. So, but when you look at it, what does it mean? I mean, why was it brought about in the first place? It was brought about because somebody somewhere was interested in the 104 billion. And we have had IT experts tell us that we could have been able to procure that system at something, at a cost of under 1 billion. And so we need to ask ourselves, I mean, why do we have these loopholes? And when they're there, are they deliberately there? Because I think, like Dr. is saying, I mean, why have we not seen prosecution in this particular case of fertilizer? Business people exploiting those loopholes. And who are they? And why I want to contend that there is prevention, protection from the top. And I've given you an example of is it one Rotich who was a whistleblower at SHA, and now they will not be given a job. So you could find, I have not read that story, but you could find that this case of business people exploiting the loopholes in the distribution of fertilizer is kind of the same thing, that there are people who are protected, people who have connections at the top. Because like the good Daktari is saying, I mean, we have systems.
So are these business people, sorry to interrupt, are these business people, just to follow your train of thought?
Yes.
Because I just brought this up as a point of entry to look at a question of loopholes then and weaknesses within a system that has been set. And we're seeing this in education. We have dealt with ghost schools, where a lot of money has gone to schools that do not exist.
Yes.
You find a school is supposed to be here, but it's a bush. We are seeing the same thing with hospitals. We are seeing money going into hospitals that do not, again, either exist or do not even offer the kind of services that the money then is getting to the accounts for. We are seeing this in agriculture. So we're trying then to raise a question here of, you're seeing the different areas, institutions and industries that are affected, where you have technology, you've got systems in place. In the example of this fertilizer conversation, there was the digital registration of farmers under the Kenya Integrated Agricultural Management Information System. And for some reason, we always have these very big, wordy terminologies to describe these systems, and they cost a lot of millions and billions. But is it one systemic? And when you talk about business, because I was trying to follow your train of thought on this, are we having people, like Olo was saying, people are sitting somewhere where these decisions are being made, and so you have people in business, in education, who have an interest in health, who have an interest in agriculture, and other sectors just waiting and timing for these things to be set up, and then they're making money through the back channels.
Yeah, it's a case of, bending the rules. The systems are there, Dennis. You have mentioned education, for example. Why would a school that is not non-existent, for example, receive capitation? I mean, before a school is registered, because I want to believe that any school that receives capitation is registered by the Ministry of Education. Before it is registered, and because this is my area, I understand it very well. I mean, there has to be an inspection report from the county, director of quality and assurance. Quality and assurance standards officer. I mean, there is an inspection, and an inspection report also made by the public health officer in the county. And then the CEB, currently, that is the County Education Board, will sit down and approve registration of such a school. So if there is a particular school, for example, that is reported to have received fraudulently any capitation, then you have officers you can bring to book immediately. I mean, yes. Okay. Where is the director of education in the county? Do you know this school? Why, I mean, who registered this school? I mean, systems are there. But the problem is, if I'm the director of education in Murang'a County, and I know that a particular non-existent school is receiving capitation fraudulently, but I know it is associated with somebody who is very high, he is connected at very high levels, I will not speak. Because if I do, just like Rutich, the whistleblower, then I could also end up losing my job.
Or lose your life.
Or even my life.
Okay. So,
and that is the problem. Protection from high up, high up there.
Okay, so then one would ask the question. And now, pale kwa JCM, Pastor Ben, wakati ambapo Kaluma Boy alikuwa anafanyiwa Thanksgiving, juu serikali yote haijasaidia huyo baba yake, haijamsaidia mwenyewe, amekuwa tu aking'ang'ana until Gen Z wakaamua kujitokezea ili kusaidia. So hii itakuwa inaonyesha kwamba we can just build hospital na tuandike madaktari. Even me I'm free to contribute mine. Na ngojea tu till ama pay bill ili ni contribute zangu. Unaona watu wangu? Unajua guys, kama Gen Z tunataka tuendee pamoja ili tuonyeshe William Ruto yeye hana kitu. Yeye hana kazi hapa Kenya. Ili tuonyeshe Rais William Ruto hakuna kitu anafanya. Lazima tufanye hivyo kwanza. Unaona guys? So now acha tusikize Pastor Ben jinsi ambavyo ameamua aliamua kudonate pia ambulance. Sikiza.
Tulituma ambulance yetu, na hiyo ambulance hiyo ndio asset ya kwanza ya ile hospitali mnajenga. Kwa hivyo wale walikuwa wanauliza nimenunua ya nini, si wameona kazi yake? Haya, sasa listen, baba ya Kaluma ameendewa leo asubuhi na ako around, lakini kwa sababu ya weather yetu na condition yake, he is well preserved mahali yako, na wakati ukifika wa kumleta tutamleta hapa.